Welcome to the session on Rise and Shine, Awaken Potential, Embrace Rest, Inspire Action. Please welcome to the stage Director of Global Programming at the Milken Institute, Rachel Goldstein.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. My name is Rachel Goldstein. I'm on the Global Programming team here at the Milken Institute. It is my honor to introduce you to three of my all-time favorite speakers to get your day started right. Welcome to Rise and Shine, Awaken Potential, Embrace Rest, and Inspire Action. Our first session is called Better in Bed, Sleep Smarter Tonight, featuring my personal sleep doctor and yours, Dr. Michael Breus. In a world that runs on exhaustion, better sleep isn't just a wellness goal, it's a game changer. Let's get started. Michael?
How's everybody doing? Who out here had an amazing night of sleep last night? Yeah, there's never a lot of hands going up for that one, right? So first of all, I want to introduce myself. My name is Dr. Michael Breus. I'm known as the sleep doctor. I actually am a sleep doctor. And what I wanted to do first in my time with you today is to have the opportunity to describe to you the difference between a sleep expert and a sleep doctor. Because one of the things that's happening nowadays is we have podcasts everywhere, and we have media everywhere, and we have a lot of people out there who are talking about health and talking about sleep and things like that. And I want to make sure that you understand the perspective from which you're getting your information. So a sleep expert is somebody who works in a laboratory. They do research, they write books, and they understand specific areas within the context of their field. So for a sleep expert, you might have somebody who's an expert in sleep and memory. So an example of that might be Dr. Matthew Walker. You guys maybe have heard of Dr. Walker and his book, right? Another expert area might be circadian rhythms. You've heard of Dr. Andrew Huberman, right, and doing things like that. The difference between sleep experts and sleep doctors is sleep experts don't actually see patients. They have labs and they work in laboratories. What a sleep doctor does, and that's more along the lines of what I am, is I pressure test all of their ideas in the real world, and I fix people's sleep, right? So sleep experts study sleep, sleep doctors fix sleep. And so when you're listening and you're getting your information, you want to know and understand the context from which it's coming. So as a sleep doctor, I feel almost compelled to talk to you guys a little bit for a moment or two about sleep disorders in particular. So what are sleep disorders? How do they work? Do I even have one? Do I need to get tested? Is this really a good idea? What should I do, Michael? So let's start out with something called sleep apnea. Now, I'm not going to bore you with a lot of medical jargon and things like that, but at the end of the day, undiagnosed sleep apnea. By the way, what is sleep apnea? Sleep apnea is where you snore, your throat begins to close, then the two sides touch, and you stop breathing in your sleep. This is very hazardous. The good news is you wake up, but this can happen hundreds of times in an evening, and you would be completely unaware. Do you know who is aware of sleep apnea? Your bed partner, right? How many people in here, well, you don't have to raise your hand, but if you want to, you can, have been told by their bed partner or have told their bed partner that they snore or they're concerned that they might have sleep apnea and are stopping breathing. Okay, so we're all in conjunction here. So here's the cool thing. Since COVID, getting a sleep test is super easy to do. So once COVID hit, nobody wanted to go into a sleep laboratory and have 27 electrodes put all over their head, have a video camera on them in a strange environment. I mean, come on, isn't that so conducive to sleep? No, of course not, right? Now we have home sleep tests, HSTs. And what's great about those is they come in many different formats. There's wrist-worn ones. There's ones as on a ring on a finger, right? I'm not talking, by the way, about an Oura ring. That's a sleep tracker. That's different than a sleep test, right? So a sleep test is done with a medical device where we diagnose something called sleep apnea. Or a ring just merely tracks your sleep. There's a really big difference between those two. Here's the good news. It's very simple to do. You can go online, click a button, and for literally $200, and there are multiple websites out there that do this, You can have a sleep, you can talk with a doctor, telemedicine, and then have a study sent to your home. You wear it. The next day, the data ports over to your phone, goes to the cloud. Within 24 hours, you're talking with your doctor who's got your results. You never have to leave your house. That is what it used to be, a 7 to 8 month process to get somebody in the lab, through the study, and treated. So that has shortened dramatically, and it's much easier to do. However, we have a lot of people out there who don't want to get a sleep study because they don't want to get a diagnosis of sleep apnea, because they're saying to themselves, well, the only way I'm going to be able to treat my sleep apnea is with that thing called a CPAP machine, which is a big mask over my face, which is kind of like a hairdryer blowing up my nose all night long. Anybody relate to that one, right? So here's the good news, is there are several different treatment modalities now that are outside of CPAP that have come about. So innovation is definitely starting to catch up here. There are mouth guards, no mask, no hose, no air up the nose that can treat sleep apnea. There are now surgical interventions, as well as a few other things that are new to the market. So number one, if you think in any way, shape, or form that you might have sleep apnea, it's probably worth getting tested. Worst case scenario, you get tested and you don't have it, right? And you're out $200, which, by the way, is probably covered by your insurance. Sleep apnea is only one kind of area that is of my expertise. The area that I really enjoy and the area that I'm known most for is insomnia. So what is insomnia and how does it work? So insomnia, there's 3 flavors of insomnia. There's I can't fall asleep, I can't stay asleep, and I wake up too early or my sleep quality is crappy, okay? So I'm going to throw out a scenario. By a raise of hands, I want to see if anybody in the room has ever experienced this. How many people? I haven't even spoken yet, and she's already here. I love it. And in the front row, too. Perfect. So here's what I'm going to throw out there. How many of you have ever had this situation occur? You go to bed, you fall asleep fairly quickly, and then somewhere between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m., and usually it's the exact same time every single night, like 2:37 or something crazy like that, you wake up and you cannot return to sleep for about 2 hours, or you might not return at all. By a raise of hands, how many people in here have experienced this at some point in time in their lives? See, now I've got every single person in the room. Perfect. So I'm going to teach everybody how to treat that right now. So this is one of the areas it's pretty interesting, and I'm going to give you a couple of pieces of information that you might not have heard before. Piece number 1 is when you wake up in the middle of the night, don't go pee. What? Michael, come on, you're a doctor. What are you talking about? Don't go pee. So here's what's interesting. In order to enter into a state of unconsciousness, you need a heart rate of 60 or below. Okay? What do you think happens to your heart rate when you go from a lying position to a seated position to a standing position and you walk across the room? Your heart rate goes straight up, right? Also, for a lot of people, when they go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, they flick on the light to see where the toilet is. When you do that, you just told your brain that's sunshine, it stops producing melatonin, you're in trouble. So number 1, put a strategically placed night light in the water closet, and then maybe one in the hallway along the way if you have a tendency to go to the bathroom a lot at night. But most people, here's what they do. They wake up and they say to themselves, I'm up, I might as well go pee, right? Right? Of course you do. So here's the object of the game, is do you really have to go pee? 74% of people are side sleepers. When you're a side sleeper, you kind of have a tendency to ball up, and you put pressure on your bladder. So what I tell people all the time is if you wake up, roll over to your back and just count to 10 and breathe for a second. What you may discover is you don't actually need to go pee. You were just kind of pushing on your bladder. And again, you can now focus at the task at hand, which is lower your heart rate. The second thing I don't want you to do, looking at the clock. How many of you look at the clock in the middle of the night? Come on, be fair. Right? Right? Okay. So what happens when you look at the clock? You instantly do the mental math, and now you're pissed off, right? Now you're like, wait a second. I was here last night, and I was here the night before, and this sucks, right? Raising the heart rate, once again. If you possibly can, put your phone across the room. Now, somebody's going to say, well, I have to have it as an alarm, or what if my kids call in the middle of the night? I didn't say turn it off. I said just put it across the room so it's not so easy to swipe at 3:37 in the morning and take a look, right? It's across the room. It's still doing what you need it to do, but it's not going to give you information that's going to make you messed up a little bit later on. Okay, Michael, I haven't peed, and I haven't looked at my phone. What do I do now, right? Let's be fair. You have peed. right? Let's be fair. And you have looked at the clock, right? So now your heart rate is pretty jacked up. How do I get my heart rate back down? My favorite technique for this is called 4-7-8 breathing. So this is a technique that was developed by Dr. Andrew Weil a long time ago, believe it or not, for the Navy SEALs to help them lower their heart rate when they were shooting downrange. The good news here is it gets your heart rate below 60, and it's exactly what it sounds like. You slowly breathe in for a count of 4, you hold for a count of 7, and you push out for a count of 8. Now, to be clear, you need about 20 cycles of this to lower your heart rate down to a point where you can fall asleep. Here's the best part of this technique, is you're so busy counting, you don't get what my wife and many monks in the universe call monkey mind. Right? Everybody here know what monkey mind is? I don't have to describe that for anybody, right? So while I'm thinking of, right, everybody's like, oh, her, oh, I get it, right? So here's what we see is as you're thinking about counting, you picture the number 4, and then it goes down to 3, then to 2, then to 1. Then you picture the number 7, 6, 5, all the way down to 1. And then when you breathe out, you picture 8 and down and down. And what this does is it distracts your mind from monkey mind, and it is progressively lowering your heart rate both at the same time. That's why this technique works so well. You really want to be thoughtful about what you're doing in the middle of the night, and you got to get to 20 cycles. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I have a hard time getting to 20 cycles without losing count, right? And guess what happens when I lose count? I get pissed off. And guess what happens to my heart rate when I get pissed off? My heart rate goes through the roof. So I'm going to give you the hack of what you can do. So while you're lying there in bed, pretend the mattress is behind me. I take my hands, I make them into light fists. When I go through 1, 4, 7, 8, I just stick out a finger. When I go through it again, I stick out another finger. By the time I get to here, I'm pretty sure I've gotten to 10, and I never make it back, right? And that's how we do it in terms of lowering the heart rate and allowing you to get back to sleep. All right, Michael, I looked at the clock, I peed, I did my 4, 7, 8 for 20 cycles, and I'm still awake. What do I do now? So there's data out there on something called yoga nidra, right, or non-sleep deep rest. So what is that? That is a situation where you lie kind of in a savasana pose. Believe it or not, it's rejuvenative. It's not the same as sleep, but if you lay there for an hour, it's worth about 20 minutes of sleep. So even if you stay awake in bed, but you're chill and relaxed, you're actually still getting a level of rejuvenation. So that's good too. Let's say that you're all okay with this, but all of a sudden, you've been lying in bed, you're rejuvenating, and your monkey mind starts up, and you start to get anxious and upset. That's the time that you would leave bed, have an area in your home already set up. It's a comfortable chair with a book that you can read and a little light that you can go to. Don't have to go looking in the middle of the night to try to find something to do. Have it set up ahead of time for you in case you need it. Go, wait till you get tired, then come back. Okay, Michael, I've tried all of this stuff. What do I do now? I'm still awake. Acceptance. Here's the deal. This happened to you last night or the night before, and your head didn't pop off, right? The world didn't come to an end. You didn't tell your boss to take a hike. You didn't tell your spouse to take a hike. Things were okay. Sleep is flexible, okay? I tell people this all the time. Sleep is a lot like love. The less you look for it, the more it shows up, right? When you're out there looking for that person for you, and you know you're going to find them, you never bump into them. But the second you stop looking so damn hard, that person walks into your life, right? Sleep is exactly the same way. Don't give yourself a lot of pressure about sleep. Again, sleep is flexible, and the body can do a lot of different things to help you understand what it needs and what to do. In the last few minutes, I want to go over a concept, the thing that I'm most famous for, which is called the chronotype. What is a chronotype? You haven't heard of the term, but you've actually heard of the concept. How many people in here, by a raise of hands, have ever been called an early bird? Well, a bunch of you, right? Because we're here this morning. How about a night owl? Yeah, it's tough for us being here this early in the morning, isn't it, right? I mean, to be honest, I don't like mornings, and I don't even like morning people, okay? They're so chipper all the time. Like, come on, guys. Turns out that morningness and eveningness is genetic. I can look in a very particular place in the human genome. There's actually about 65 different areas, but the biggest one is called the PER3 area. And if your building blocks for DNA are flipped one way, you're a night owl. If they're flipped another way, you're an early bird. What I discovered was a fourth chronotype. So we know about early birds, we know about night owls, we know about people in the middle. I discovered that there's a group of people out there that are just hormonally messed up. I call them dolphins. Why do I call them dolphins? Because dolphins sleep unihemispherically, so half of their brain is asleep while the other half is awake and looking for predators. And these are my insomniacs who are never quite asleep. This is a genetic situation. Sometimes it can happen by circumstance, by the way. You can become a dolphin by circumstance. What would something like that be? Well, for all the women in the room, it's called menopause. Okay? Right? Menopause, hormones go cuckoo, go crazy, has a massive effect on your sleep. So one of the things that you can do is you can learn how to live your life based on your chronotype. So I created a quiz at chronoquiz.com. If you get a chance, swing by and check it out. And what you'll discover is that once you know and understand your chronotype, it unlocks a whole host of different activities that you can do better than you ever thought you could. So as an example, if you're an early bird and you wake up at 5:30 in the morning, when should you work out? Versus if you're a night owl and you're dragging ass to just get up at 8 o'clock, when should you work out? We've discovered different timings actually seem to make a big difference because your natural hormones are working in a particular way. What I thought I would do is end my talk this morning because in the chronotype world, there's one big question. What if I have one chronotype, like an early bird, and my partner is a night owl? When do we become intimate? That is the second most popular question that I get asked. So let's answer that question right here, right now. In order to become intimate, you need 5 hormones to have a certain level of adjustment. You need estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, and adrenaline all to be high, and you need melatonin to be low. So when we did our surveys, we discovered that most people have sex somewhere between 10:30 and 11:30 at night. What do you think your hormone profile looks like at that point in time? Right? Melatonin is raised, and all of your other hormones, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, and adrenaline, are lowered. So that's hint number 1 from a timing perspective of when should you be intimate with your partner. Number 2, if you happen to be intimate with a partner who's a biological male, what do most men wake up with in the morning? An erection. If that is not Mother Nature telling you when to use that thing, I don't know what is. Okay? So you can learn how to use these chronotypes in very interesting ways to unlock all kinds of different aspects of your health. My name is Dr. Michael Breus. I'm known as the Sleep Doctor. This has been lovely. Thank you.